Approximately 10:30 this morning, the Houston Fire Department received a call from a maintenance worker here on the property questioning an unusual smell coming from the structure that had burned last Saturday morning. We came to investigate, and we quickly became concerned that there may be a victim inside the structure. We immediately had crews come out, including our technical rescue division, to come out and conduct a search, and it took us approximately 2 hours to find a victim on the second floor of the structure. We immediately contacted arson so that way they can continue with their investigation. Again, once it was confirmed that we did have a fire victim, we also notified the medical examiner and homicide, and they'll be conducting their investigations parallel with each other.
So the body had been burned?
It appears that the body may have suffered some thermal damage, but the medical examiner will conduct an autopsy to determine the cause of death and what other injuries the body may have experienced.
So, so what you're saying is that that body was here the day of the fire, or we don't know that?
We're not quite sure. The cause of death is going to be quite telling on what happened to the body and would add to the investigation.
But on Saturday, you guys didn't find anything when you guys were extinguishing the fire over here, right?
Saturday morning, when Station 52 arrived, they were met with heavy fire and challenging conditions in that there were no hydrants inside the property, so there were immediately some water supply problems. When they went defensive, they still tried conducting searches inside the structure to what they could access, because there were reports of people trapped and missing, but on the first floor, in the first floor apartment. Once they were able to put the fire under control and conduct a search, they realized that there was no person trapped inside the apartment, and the two people in question, they were actually able to see and account for those two. In communicating with apartment management from that morning all the way to this morning when we came back to conduct a search of the structure, they could not verify with us whether or not there was someone leasing that apartment. So once again, we were unsure whether or not someone was actually missing. But we went ahead and conducted a thorough search today, and unfortunately we determined there was a victim.
So the search today is different from the search that you did on Saturday. Would you say it wasn't as thorough on Saturday?
Actually, on Saturday, I would say it was more thorough. Every fire that we go to, we conduct a search, even in abandoned buildings. But in this one, because it was difficult for apartment management and fire officials to determine who was leasing what apartment, they continued to conduct searches to the point where even the rescue truck used specialized equipment, some of the equipment we frequently use on car accidents, lifting up debris, to search underneath everything, because the second floor had collapsed onto the first. And in fact, where we found the victim today, he was heavily covered, or the victim was heavily covered by debris, and they had to take a good hour and a half or so to uncover them to see. So even with the specialized equipment on Saturday, it was very difficult for them to search.
So if I understand, you guys believe that it could be a victim from Saturday. However, it's still to be determined whether it is related to a criminal case?
Correct. I say victim. What I should really say is that we found a deceased person on the floor, because we don't know if it's associated with the fire or not. Like I said, the autopsy is going to be telling.
Any identity? I'm sorry, identification, male, female?
We have an idea of who it may be, but it'll be for the medical examiner to positively identify the person.
What do you say to that person's family who is realizing that their relative's body or loved one has been there for days after the fire department and investigators just left the scene?
It's a very unfortunate circumstance. It's one that unfortunately is frequently found on building collapses and fires of this magnitude. Following 9/11 and some other incidents we have here in the city, it's not unusual for bodies to be so severely damaged that you may never find them. During 9/11, there are thousands of victims who were never recovered and identified. And fire is a living, breathing thing that does not discriminate. It consumes everything. And many times we'll have animals and humans that suffer so much damage, they can very easily blend in with what's burned. Very easy to miss. What do you say to the family? I'm not quite sure, other than it's unfortunate, and our thoughts and prayers are with the family. It's difficult for us to assume how they would feel. So it's, what words do you tell someone who's lost a loved one, and after this time they're not aware? It's a very unfortunate outcome.
This is the only casualty from this fire was the one you found today?
Yes.
And you said it was found on the second floor in an apartment that you guys are not sure was leased.
Correct.